Do you think we're in a bear market now? If we are in a bear market, what would have been the perfect hedge? The hedge against this drop, this bear market that some people say we're in right now. I'm not so sure about it. Well, if you look back over the last 2 or 3 months, the best performing assets have been gold, China or Hong Kong stocks, and European defense stocks. All three have been emphasized by myself. I've been talking about it on social media, on my tweets, and in my Discord as well. So now, this episode is gonna be an analysis of who actually has the best AI in the world, which companies. The Magnificent Seven stocks, most people believe, are now actually in a bear market. Would you believe? It's down more than 20% now. And who could have called this? I kept on saying the video was gonna crash because of DeepSeek coming out. I showed in my last video and in many tweets that this was gonna be the case. So right now, if you believe the NASDAQ is quite cheap, then probably, or at a good valuation, then maybe getting in, dollar cost averaging in might make sense. But you know what else is very cheap? It's so obvious right now that the competitors to these US Magnificent Seven stocks, the ones in China or Hong Kong, are still equally, if not much more, undervalued. And yeah, sure, you might ignore them, even though they've taken off, whilst the NASDAQ has, the Magnificent Seven stocks have gone into a bear market. Who has been going in all in on China stocks? Your favorite hero, Elon Musk. That's what he does, right? So his entire 70% of his production is made in the Shanghai Gigafactory, right? Most of his customers are in China for EVs. So whilst we realize the US market is still probably a little bit overvalued, even after 20% drop in the Magnificent Seven stocks, we can probably safely say that the Chinese stocks are still cheaper on a pound for pound basis because they also have some of the best AI in the world. Now, let's have a look today at what are some of the best AI stocks. And this is a follow-up from the previous episode where I'll talk about 2 more amazing AI stocks that no one is talking about. But before I do so, let's just quickly answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimen use? Well, I use an exchange that is non-KYC. That means they don't need your ID. Even the exchange can't see who you are. They're right now offering this BMW motorbike, a trip to Dubai, Rolex watches, just by joining and trading. And I like them so much, I've made a deal with them with Bitunix, and this is for a limited time only. But this deal is the Pablo Jimen deal, and only on the link in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, it's only on the link in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, such as this one, then go to my profile page. Click on my profile page, and there's the stand link right there. We click on the stand link, and it's the first item that pops up, Bitunix. Okay, folks, let's get back to the markets. And just remember, only on the Pablo Jimen link. Only on the Pablo Jimen deal. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at for AI companies in China is basically this Baidu, right? Baidu is basically the search engine in China. It's basically like Google of China. And like Google of China, both Google and Baidu started really early, 10, 12 years ago on AI. The problem is both of them screwed up. Both of them fell behind. They both started really early, and then OpenAI took the lead in the US, whilst you name it, DeepSeek, QN, those models took the lead in China. But I've been telling folks, it's kind of a race, and different companies release new models all the time. Like cars come up and then they fall behind. They come up, they lead, they fall behind. So they recently, 10 days ago, just launched their new AI model. And they say it's superior to DeepSeek and OpenAI, ChatGPT on major benchmarks. So Baidu had the lead from Grok. Grok 3 was holding that lead for about 3 weeks. And then Baidu came up with their new model, their AI is called Ernie. Their Ernie bot, Ernie model, LLM, whatever you want to call it, took the lead And then I think, so Baidu's problem is this. Once again, hyper competitive business in China. A lot of times people are not using Baidu to do those searches anymore. They're just going straight to TikTok in China, the Chinese version, to use that to do searches. So that's been eating away from their core business. Like imagine sometimes if you if you want to see like what's the latest news on Russia or on Ukraine, on on Trump, you may not go to Google and you might not Google Trump or Russia or whatever. You might just go to TikTok, right? Like you do. And you might just type that in. And there's going to be lots of news and your favorite analysts are going to come up and talk about it as well. So they, in fact, Baidu actually was doing these robotaxis in China as well. So, for example, so this is another field of AI. Like when we say AI, we don't just mean large language models, right? Like robotaxis are basically if a car can drive itself, would you not call that artificial intelligence? It's not human intelligence driving it; it's artificial intelligence driving it. They just Wall Street gets to define what is AI, what isn't AI, because they're the big shot right now, and obviously this is AI from China. Robo taxis. That competes with Tesla, competes with Pony AI, competes with, I think Google has something like that as well. So so these are actually driverless. There's no guy sitting in there. It basically just runs around in the city of Wuhan. Actually, they're working up to 1,000 of these taxis, and I think Tesla is doing something similar. Tesla is basically now gonna start in the city of Houston, Texas by June. That's announced. They're gonna get their robot. They call the cyber cabs out there. China's already been doing this for 2-3 years now, and so this is actually another branch of Baidu that could do well. Okay, let's have a look at the Baidu chart. Oh, thank you, CNN. Let's have a look at the Baidu chart. So here is let me just see. It's again listed on the NASDAQ as well, as we can see here. So it's this one, we can see the market doesn't like it a lot. And in fact, it's sitting on that major, let's call it $80 support. This major $80 support. So this level must not break. If it breaks, then obviously, that's gonna be an ugly looking chart. It hasn't had much of a bounce like we saw with Alibaba, with Xiaomi, because they haven't had a lot of success. But if it does bounce, it could then the first target is this 115 area. Second target is around this 143, 144 area. The situation with AI competition is hyper competitive in China. So like with their robo-taxi, for example, that was one thing they were leading the world in, kind of like at least in the top 3, and they were getting a 50-50 partnership deal with Geely, a Chinese car maker, who was going to make those robo-taxis for them. But that deal kind of fell through after like 3 years of partnerships. But the thing is this, I'm not too worried about that one, because it's the software that matters. Like Microsoft doesn't make computers. Dell Computers or Lenovo makes computers. They make the hardware. Microsoft is worth a lot more than those guys because they make the software. So, and I could also ask you, what's the best AI company, FSD, or autonomous driving, self-driving company in the world? Who's got the best technology? Some people would say is Tesla. I actually disagree. I highly doubt that. In fact, they ran Tesla in China up against some of the Chinese models and didn't do well. But that's in China anyway. But in my opinion, the number one self-driving company in the world right now is actually Huawei. If not the world, then at least in China. They don't produce any of their cars. They don't produce any cars at all. They basically work with other brands. Like they're now actually powering BMW. BMW, I think it's BMW. It's either BMW or Mercedes has actually done a deal with Huawei to basically use Huawei's AI self-driving system. And so I just want to ask you, Huawei is still obviously a very valuable company. It's got this amazing tech, but it doesn't make any of the hardware. It doesn't make EVs, doesn't make any of the cars. So that goes to show you don't need to make the cars. It may be a nice to have, like Tesla can make the cars, but it's not the hardware that's important. It's the software. It's the AI. It's the algorithm. It's the algorithm of seeing obstacles, seeing a human crossing the road. Does it brake or does it decide to swerve around? What does it do? That algorithm, that split-second decision-making system that can keep humans safe in the car, keep pedestrians safe on the roads, that's worth everything in the world. Baidu's doing a lot of that training. It's got one of the best AI models in the world right now. It's got that robotaxi business. So it's still in there with a shot. I wouldn't give up on it, so readily yet. But I mean, I wouldn't want to bet the farm on it. It's just one part of my portfolio. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? If it breaks down at that 80 level and proves to be a loser, that's fine. And it's one part of my portfolio. Also, what Baidu does is that it has this recently Baidu has adopted or integrated the DeepSeek, right, AI system into their own search engine. So basically now people can basically go to Baidu or the Google of China, and when they want to search something, they could just use Baidu AI, which is DeepSeek AI, and also their Ernie bot. You can choose, you can toggle, you can choose, use the Baidu Ernie to do your search, answer your questions, help you with your tasks, or you can choose Baidu DeepSeek. And that, I've noticed, has given it a big boost. Recently, a lot of people around me that I know who uses AI models are either using Grok, and some of them are using Baidu AI as well. And I think you can ask it questions in English. That's why it's attractive. And some people are using that. So it was losing a lot of business to TikTok, and I think it will continue to do so. That's why its stock price is looking so weak. But however, it kind of depends on what it does with the integrating DeepSeek. It's bringing some businesses back. Right now, I've heard some people in the AI circles around me say that they actually prefer using Baidu AI over, say, Grok or ChatGPT. It's free, and it's also probably the fastest in the world right now. But like I said, it's basically a race like this. Like Baidu's leading right now, and then next thing is probably ChatGPT, and then probably the next DeepSeek version R2, and then probably Grok 4, whatever. So they're in a car race right now. Let's do one more, and yeah, if this people are interested, and this turns out to be an episode that can help people and people are interested, I'll do the robotics and the drones, what they call low altitude economy in China next. If not, like I said, if super unpopular, like a lot of people get triggered when I talk about China stocks, not realizing their hero, Elon Musk, actually bets his whole life on it, then probably I'll go back to talking more about crypto. So this one called called basically SenseTime. Now SenseTime is actually a pure AI company in China, a pure AI company. What it does is basically has the best the best facial recognition software in the world, best facial recognition AI in the world. So it was already an AI company before all this craze started with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is basically, it's a large language model, answers questions and stuff. SenseTime excelled in facial recognition, and a lot of airports, a lot of railway stations in China, public places, will be fitted with the SenseTime facial recognition AI algorithm. And basically, like, it's also not basically doing as well as some of the others. So we saw this time it got to just under $2 and did not break the previous high. The previous high that was created in October. And whilst the index has gone above, so that's a problem for these SenseTime guys. But you know what? SenseTime released their AI model, the SenseBot, I think it's called. They released the SenseBot model something like a year ago, and it was actually the best one in the world, or number 2 in the world at the time. Right now it sits at number 8, the 8th best AI model in China. And we know China is very competitive. So basically they're due for releasing their next AI model. So SenseTime could be like maybe a couple of months from now. In the next couple of months, they could release their AI model, and if it's a good one, if it's like matches the ability of Grok or ChatGPT, DeepSeek, then we could see it pop up and hit something like $2.40. That would be the resistance. The support levels, if we extend this line here, is likely to be, we can see somewhere around this area, around this $1.18, $1.20 area. Another support level around this $1.36 area. So during this pullback, SenseTime, it's not a mega corporation like Alibaba is. Even Xiaomi is quite large. It's not like Xiaomi or Alibaba. It's not a mega corporation, but however, it is a it's a pure play AI stock. It doesn't have a phone business or a car business like Xiaomi, but unlike Alibaba, it doesn't have a retail business and a cloud business or any of that. Okay, so I've just drawn these head shoulder, right, letters on there. So we might get some sort of symmetrical timeline here, because this shoulder to head, this one took 18 months to play out. And if we were to say, well, from this head to the next shoulder, if we are to go for symmetry, it would take us to October, to about October this year before we get another head and shoulders, right, final shoulder, and maybe goes up. So the first line of support around this $1.37 area, and the next layer of support around this $1.19, $1.17 area. And okay, so the neckline would be here. The neckline, I'm just gonna draw it here. The neckline, yeah. Let's make it thicker so we can see better. Neckline. So that's the, let me bring that down. Okay. So actually, let's just line this up. The neckline would be something like this. Yeah. Okay. So that's the neckline, right? Of a shoulder, head, shoulder, something like this, and then boom. And you can see this is forming this this is $1.17 support, and this neckline is forming a wedge. So maybe something like bouncing along something like this, and then pop its head up above, and up we go. So obviously $2.40 area is the major resistance once we get there. That's basically the story on the Chinese AI stocks. I can do another one on robotics as well. That's going to be, I think AI and robotics like hand in hand. They go hand in hand. It's all about replacing humans. We're all done. We're going to get replaced. It's basically AI for the software and humanoid robotics. I'll be back, right? That, like Arnie, T1000, T800 for the hardware. And also what China calls low altitude economy, which is low altitude flying drones. Such like US has a company called Joby. I think it's got more than one. I think. I will do that for the next episode if there's demand for it. So Pablo, for all the Aussies out there, Pablo uses SwiftText exchange, and it's a nice on-ramp and off-ramp for me. Thank you for you guys. The link is in the description below. Thank you guys for your time. I'll catch you next episode.